Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to show off a new project that I've been working on recently, which is Windsor Castle. This is based off of a recommendation that somebody left on one of my other YouTube videos, so I decided to give it a try. Now, when I started laying out the grounds, I wanted to have the long walk, which is a 2.5 mile stretch that runs from the upper bailey of the castle out to Snow's Hill. Here I only did 1 mile, although that's still plenty, and I'll show you on a map exactly how far that is. But I did a lot of landscaping around the castle. I tried to make it look nice and fit in with the environment. And this is actually the oldest type of building that I've done in this world. Previously, that was St. Peter's Basilica, dating back to 16th century. Now, Windsor Castle, the origins actually date back to William the Conqueror. Now, the structure that he built isn't still here. It was a wooden structure on top of a motte, which the motte is still here, and that's what the stone castle was built on top of some decades later. Now, that's actually not even what the real one looked like back then. It was changed over the centuries. The whole castle really has been updated plenty of times in the past 900 years or so. And a lot of things were added just to be romantic, just to look the way that the architects thought it should look as a castle, as a stately home for the English, then later British monarchs. But here we can see on a map, this is the long walk. This is 1 mile that I've developed. And here is the castle. Now, here we're just south of the river that I had built. This is the main part of my city with the US Capitol building, the White House over here, Lincoln Memorial. Across the river we have Highclere Castle, Monticello over there, and then we have the other more recent builds that I've done, like Buckingham Palace, the Catherine Palace, the Palais Garnier, Palace of Westminster, St. Peter's Basilica over there. So right now we're down here at Windsor Castle. Now, because Windsor Castle has a lot of things that are set off at not right angles, I decided to try to do something that was inspired by it rather than making a one-to-one replica. And there are also only so many pictures that I could use as reference, so a lot of things I had to kind of invent myself. The staircase is one of them. But I did try to capture the feel and the look of the real Windsor Castle. It's nice woodwork up there. Already the floor plan is a little bit different from the real one because really from coming up the stairs, from this landing you would go into an entrance chamber. Here I have it go directly to the Waterloo chamber. And then here we have the guard chamber. I like the way that this room turned out. This is one of my custom textures up here, this nice white painted wood paneling. I thought it looked nice, like coffers in a vaulted ceiling. St. George's Chamber. I built this to be the presence chamber. Drawing room. And of course we have all of my custom furniture models here. And as I've said before in other videos, these are actually candles. I took some of the candles that I don't really use, or at least I don't use unlit, and I decided to make them into furniture that I actually would use. Of course, if I want to have these candles be lit, I can do that. There we go. I made sure that my different candles have different textures. There we are. Some other custom designs like this piano. And then for the Apartments, bedrooms, offices, things like that, I really just kind of winged it. I imagined that this would make a nice sitting room antechamber for the royal bedchamber. And then we have other bedrooms and sitting rooms going down the line. This is one of my favorite sitting rooms. Let's turn the time back a little. This is another one of my custom models. It's a clock that's supposed to keep accurate Minecraft time. Of course, it gets disrupted every time I reset the time, and unfortunately, it still runs even when the game is paused, which means that it will get out of sync no matter what you do. But it was something I wanted to see if I could do, and I did, and I like it. I tried to experiment a little bit with different wall colors and decorations inside. Some of these rooms are a little bit more ornate than others. And I won't go through the whole thing because there's more that I want to show. There's one of the villagers. There's another one. The round tower, I don't really have a whole lot inside, just some office space. I put a library there because in real life there are royal archives inside the round tower. And it's definitely been altered a lot since it was originally built in the either the 12th or 11th century. But this is the Upper Bailey with the state apartments and state rooms. And here we'll go down to the lower Baileys. I also tried to make the motte as tall as the real one. I read that it was 15 meters tall, so I actually had to make the one that I had here originally taller. I thought it was a little cartoonish, but then reading how tall the real one is, I realized I had to go bigger. Now I'm still working on this wall over here, putting in some of the buildings, working on some of the towers. But the focal point of the lower Bailey is St. George's Chapel. And I was very proud of how this one turned out. And not only the chapel itself, but also the horseshoe cloister in front of it. And for that, I developed a new texture, which is meant to look like a Tudor style. I used a terracotta texture so that I can actually change the orientation. There we go. Have these nice herringbone patterns. But I didn't want it to be too overwhelming. I wanted to do something that was still subtle enough and that fit with the rest of the textures. So here's the horseshoe cloister and St. George's Chapel. Going inside, we have this nice new texture that I made. It's actually a much higher resolution than any of the other textures. That way, even though it's at a diagonal, it's still smooth. Custom chair models. These are buttons. I like it because when you type in butt, you get the different chairs. There's the organ here at the transept, and then continuing down the nave. Up to the altar. There are the boxes. My custom stained glass textures. We have a few sarcophagi and tombs here around in the building. I'm still working on this back here. This is the Lady Chapel. We have some nice smaller areas being developed over here. Still working on this wall. We have different houses and towers. So like I said, it's still a work in progress, but I'm adding little bits here and there to the lower bailey as I go along. Most of the upper bailey is finished already. I will make sure that a link to the download is in the description, um, as well as a download link for the texture pack in case you're interested. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you get to take a look at this and tell me what you think. Thanks. See you at the next one.